welcome along. Now, listen, our first guest. First, straight away, we've got a guest in the studio. Say good morning and welcome along to Mark Costello. Mark is the Assistant Provincial Grand Master of East Kent from the Freemasons. Mark, how you doing?
Yeah, good morning to you, Peter. Thanks very much for inviting me along.
That's not a problem. Nice to see you here in the studio. You're here to talk to us about Freemasonry, and it's lots of myths, isn't there? Lots and lots of myths.
There are out there,
and
yeah.
I thought the first off that we should debunk some of these myths before we go any further. But tell us, to start off though, what is Freemasonry and how did it start?
Well, first off, Peter, Freemasonry is fun. First and foremost, what is it? It is the oldest social and charitable organisation in the world. I guess its roots stem from the medieval stonemasons as they travelled around the world building our cathedrals, churches and our great buildings. Now, a lot of the myths, you've already mentioned those. We can trace our history back to well over 300 years. In fact, our earliest records go back as far as 1646, up north in Warrington. That's when we have our first records of somebody being initiated into Freemasonry. So you can see it goes back an awful long way. In 1717, 4 of those lodges, as we call them, came together in London and they formed the first Grand Lodge. And by the 1800s, 1813, Grand Lodges, 2 Grand Lodges combined to form what is today the United Grand Lodge of England.
There are a huge amount of lodges throughout the UK now, aren't there?
Absolutely, hundreds and hundreds of them. Our current Grand Master is the Duke of Kent. You would have seen him, so your listeners would have seen him standing on the balcony next to the Queen on Friday night for the celebrations. He's our Grand Master, and his father was before him. He took over in 1967. But here in East Kent, lots and lots of lodges. We have 179 lodges. I think your viewers might be surprised to know that. We've got about 5,200 members. Under the banner of the United Grand Lodge, there are about 160 to 170,000 Freemasons. In Scotland, 27,000. Ireland, 20,000. And of course, we've got lots of lady Freemasons. So there's one of your myths debunked. So we have lots of lady Freemasons, well over 5,000 of them. And I think...
See, now I always thought it was men only.
Yeah, you see, this is where it's all wrong. Traditionally, of course, it was men. Men were the stonemasons way back in time. But of course, as we've progressed and become a more modern society, we have welcomed lady Freemasons. And of course, there are 2 orders, the Freemasonry for Women and the Order of Women's Freemasons. And we work together side by side with them.
We didn't know that at all.
No,
let's debunk another myth. A secret society. Are you a secret society?
No, we are not a secret society. In fact, in this day and age, Peter, you can go online, as many of our members do now. They go online and they can look absolutely everything. We don't have any secrets. What we're actually talking about, let's debunk those myths.
From the old stonemasons days, it was like checker trade organisations, so you actually could get a stonemason that you knew was a proper stonemason.
Listen, it's exactly that. In the old days, to sort of recognise someone who was a qualified stonemason as opposed to someone who wasn't, they had certain grips and words and signs that they used. And we've just carried those on. But they're not secrets. None of them are. Look them up on the internet if you want to. We have lots of people, Peter, who actually now come to us. I think one of the myths was you had to be asked to be a Freemason. Well, those days are gone. That may have been way back in the day. Now we have so many people who research us. They just go online, they look up eastkentfreemasons.org and they'll look and they'll see for themselves. They do their research and they come to us.
Yeah.
Since last September, Peter, we've had 200 people join our ranks. So that tells you something. And the vast majority of them are probably under 40 years of age, and they're looking for something new and exciting. And that's what Freemasonry is, predominantly fun.
Let's carry on. So, secret handshake, not true?
No, I'm afraid not. Sorry to demystify your listeners on that. There's no secret. Again, it's about grips. What it was all about originally was that in our playlets, you've heard of another Masonic term, giving somebody the 3rd degree. Well, that's where that comes from.
Is it?
Yes, absolutely.
I had no idea.
Along with many other things. But as we have our little plays, we have 3 ceremonies, if you like, of plays. And as you progress, there are grips. That's all they are. They're not secret handshakes. We don't go around doing them. And I certainly don't. I know no one else that does.
So is it a religion?
No, it's not.
No, it's not religion.
No, it isn't. Absolutely not. In fact, we embrace all religions. We don't openly talk about religion because we try and avoid politics, quite frankly, and religion. We stay away from those things, but it's certainly not a religion. It's a way of life for some, and it teaches us to be better. Look, Peter, we're built on 4 guiding principles.
Yeah.
And they are integrity, friendship, respect, and charity. And I'd be happy to expand on those.
Excellent. What we'll do, we'll take a break.
Yeah.
But before we do that, you've got a question for the listeners, and this just blew me away. I don't know the answer, but the question is amazing. What is the question for us?
Right, well, I know a lot of your listeners will probably be football fans. My question to you, if you're listening today, and please ring in with the answer, is this. Manchester City play in light blue. Why?
Why do Man City play in the sky blue, the light blue shirts? Drop us a text 07510 984 001. It's Pete Finch. With me is Mark Costello from the Freemasons. He asked the question, why do Manchester City play in sky blue? Porchy says someone's bunged a blue sock in the wash. No, I don't think it's that, is it, Mark?
No, afraid not.
But I think Dee's close. She's nearly there. Is it because the colour of the sash? My dad had one, said D.
Well, D, you're not far off. Yes, the colour of the sash that we wear is sky blue or light blue, and they are Masonic colours, traditional Masonic colours. But it doesn't answer why Man City play in sky blue. So
Little Bill saying white shorts and blue, pale blue, as these were the Masonic colours at the time. From Little Bill,
not bad. Getting closer, but it's not the 100%.
Were the founders of the Man City team, were they all Freemasons?
Not bad. Would you like the answer?
Yeah, I'd love the answer.
Go on then. Right, in 1894,
yeah,
the club were on the brink of financial ruin, and the local Freemasons came to their assistance, and they bailed them out. And as a gesture of, or a token of thanks to the local Freemasons, they adopted the light blue Masonic colours.
So that's why.
And that, until this day, is why they continue to play in sky light blue.
Excellent. Well, I had no idea. I thought I knew my football. Clearly not. Don't know everything.
There you go.
Right. So let's get back to Freemasonry, East Kent Freemasons in particular. Quite a few lodges in the local area where you've got one building, but there's different lodges within the building. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah. I mean, just to show you how popular it is, especially here amongst your listeners, just in Sheerness itself, there are 6 lodges that meet the premises at St George's Avenue. I'm sure there's a lot of them have wandered past and wondered on what on earth went on behind those walls. Well, there's 6 there. There are 5 lodges that meet in Sittingbourne at Albany Road. So as you can see, it's and they're just 11 out of 179 in the province of East Kent. In fact,
alone.
Yeah, alone. And you've got to remember that East Kent and West Kent had to be split because there were so many Freemasons in it. And so there are now 2 provinces. In fact, it was split almost 50 years ago next year. So just shows you how many there are.
So typical lodge meeting. And how often do they meet and what happens?
Well, typically it's
so many questions in that one thing.
No, that's fine. I mean, typically it's more of a winter sport, I guess. We start in and around September, and we hold our meetings. Normally, there's a meeting about once a month, and where we meet up. And if you like, it's split into 3 parts. So what goes on? Let's bust some of those myths.
Yes, go on. Let's do that.
What goes on? Right, you can split it into 3 parts. You've got the lodge room, and then you've got what we call a festive board, which is nothing more than a meal afterwards, and then our social activities. So in the lodge room, we welcome our new guests as they then progress through a series of 3 ceremonies, the first, the second, and the third degree. We also meet once a year to install our new master of the lodge, and that goes round each year. So those degrees then, first degree, second degree, and third degree. Well, the first degree is nothing more than reminds us that we're all equal, and to look after those that are slightly less fortunate than us. The second degree encourages our members to better themselves and focus on education and self-development. And the third degree reminds us that, well, basically, we only have one life. We should use it wisely and be remembered for the right reasons, Peter, and not the wrong ones. So moving on, we do that by a series of playlets, as I said. Then afterwards, we get together in a sort of more social environment and we have a meal. We toast the Queen and various other local toasts. And then afterwards, we join in with other social events, which is where we raise our funds. I mean, I mentioned our guiding principles, but I suppose dearest to our heart is that of charity.
And so a lot of money is raised for charity, and the Freemasons, what sort of things do they distribute the money to?
Well, it's all sorts of things. If I break the charity side of it down, I think the numbers are quite staggering, and I wish really we could publicise it a little bit better than we probably do. Just in 2020, and they were struggling. We were struggling years. Freemasonry gave £51 million to deserving causes. I mean, at an international level, we're currently supporting the poor victims of the war in Ukraine. To date, we have amassed £1.1 million, which has gone out to things like the British Red Cross to support all of those victims, and also the natural disasters around the world, such as the Philippines. I think at a national level, we support the air ambulances, the blood bikes, even the victims of the Grenfell Tower fire. And recently, the London Freemasons funded 2 of these super-length fire ladders so that could allow London Fire Brigade to actually tackle some of these really difficult to get to. And obviously give money towards medical research into cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, to name but a few. And I think, but locally, let's talk about Sheerness. Let's talk about what your members are doing. Our members here. I mean, absolutely fabulous. I mean, during COVID, we know what went on and how dreadful that was when we were there to provide the NHS with personal protection gear. And I think the food banks in and around Queenborough Town Centre, in Queenborough Town Food Bank, the Swale Food Bank, all of these were recipients of large amounts of money. One of our lodges, Queenborough Lodge itself, really got involved, and I know they were giving £1,500, I think, to the town food banks. And to be honest with you, Pete, I don't think we've seen the end of our mental health issues as a result of this COVID. So we will continue to support our local communities. The bus shelter is another one in Sittingbourne.
Yeah, we know that well.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are all very, very worthwhile causes. But it's not just the food banks. It's our... we got St Michael's Lodge over at Sittingbourne who recently helped out the local girls' football team with strip and gave them, money towards that. So we really do cover all aspects of the local community, and I think that's important for your members and your listeners to understand.
It is. It seems very social because there's every lodge I've been to, there's a bar, at least one bar.
Of course,
and that's so they can meet. They have the actual meetings, that they'll have dinner or whatever, and then they'll sit around with a few gins or whatever and just chat. And
absolutely. Look, fundamentally, I mentioned the F word, fun. And it is fun.
Well, we go out on every Christmas we go out on a BRFM presenters night. I have ended up at the lodge on one occasion for a couple of gins, quite late in the night, to been invited in for a drink, and it's great. I enjoyed it.
I think a big part of Freemasonry is actually the involvement of our families, and I think all of us know that we need the support of our families, our partners, our wives, all behind us to make this work. And we really do try to involve them where we can, not only in our fundraising activities, but also, in the social side.
I do remember my mum used to look forward to going to a ladies' night. She used to go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're great fun. But actually, strangely enough, the Sunday lunches are even more popular these days. Yeah. So, I mean, a good Sunday lunch. Who doesn't mind a roast?
Who doesn't?
And no washing up.
Is it expensive to be a Freemason? There's another myth. You've got to pay out an absolute fortune to be a Freemason.
Again, I don't know where these all came from. I guess back in the day, maybe it was. I don't know in old money terms. Listen, there's a cost to everything. I belong to a golf club and so on and so forth. There's an annual fee. That fee, to me, in my particular lodge, which meets in Maidstone, is about £180. That's what it is a year. No, like everything, we budget for it. We allow people to pay on a monthly basis. So if you're paying £14 or £15 on a monthly basis, that's not bad.
That's not bad
money.
Going at all.
No, it's not. No. We talked about having a meal afterwards, and that's in the region of around £20, and we sit there. But you asked a really interesting question, was how we raise our funds.
Yeah, and it's that through
And,
that.
and it's through those sort of activities and the generosity. I mean, literally,
Raffles and-
raffles. But we only ask people to give what they can actually afford. Yeah, we're well understanding of it's a tough world out there, and I think it's going to get more tricky for people. So we're fully appreciative of that. I mean, we are now, as Freemasons, in what we call a festival period, and we've pledged to raise, just in East Kent, we've pledged to raise £3.5 million by 2025. And we will give that to our central charity, which is the Masonic Charitable Foundation. They will then disperse that out into the wider community. And although our individual lodges give a cheque for maybe £1,500 or £100, the Masonic Charitable Foundation can really make an impact, because it can give cheques of £10,000, £100,000, which make a serious difference.
Serious money.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Can anyone become a Freemason?
Listen, anyone can.
There's no bar, in terms of age, race,
well,
religion, or anything.
We ask that they're 18 years of age, and I think that's fair enough, isn't it? I mean, we'd like to think that we all reach sort of maturity around that sort of age. So we've a starting age of 18 years of age. Anyone can be a Freemason of all religions, creeds, whatever it is. We welcome them all. What we do ask, and these are basic fundamentals, we ask that they have a belief in something.
Yeah.
In something. Okay? We have a belief in a greater power that's above us. That's all we ask for good, okay? And we ask that you don't have a criminal record. But these are basics to our, as I say, to our fundamentals, which are integrity, friendship, respect, and charity.
So basically, law-abiding, good character, with a belief in the.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
No. How do they go about joining a lodge? Because as we said earlier, that everyone it's not what you know, it's who you know. But that's not true, is it? Now?
No, it's not. Again, thank you for bringing these topics up. It's great.
Well, these are questions that I've always had. So.
But they're not. And I guess, as I say, way back in the day, maybe you had to be asked, but that's not the case now. We welcome inquiries from everyone, and lots of people do their inquiries. You can, if you're interested in joining. My particular area of responsibility is obviously for the membership. So I'm in charge, if you like, or head up a number of membership advisors, and we would welcome any and all inquiries, and I will then pass on those inquiries to one of my membership advisors, who will help somebody be introduced to their local lodge. And believe me, we do. As I say, we've had 200 people join us since the 1st of September. How do they do that? Well, you can go straight on to the United Grand Lodge of England website, ugle.org, and there's a section on there that says join here, and you just fill in some basic details, and that will be filtered down to myself and one of my team. If you want to join more locally, you can go on a website called Just Ask One. So it's justaskone.org, and on there you'll know all you want to know. You can expand on anything that I've spoken about, and there are sections on there where you can fill in your details. Someone will get back to you within a few days, and they will be delighted to assist you, answer your questions, and introduce you to a lodge.
Excellent. Mark Costello, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Been very good to have you, and good to get rid of a few myths, debunk a few myths. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.